support his carriers. Going all in carriers with nothing but carriers, a little bit too dangerous, and you're going to need a lot of Stargates to try to do that. You know, just going to go out there and do some white mine clearing. Weren't really that many mines at all planted by C, just to kind of allow him to see what stats is doing, what he's going for. Still has a few mines out there across the field with a few vultures. 7th factory, going up for him, but still don't see, I think it was a starboard said the natural expansion, still don't see a single Goliath out there. And this is extremely dangerous because if the carriers come out there, the nice numbers, there are finally a few Goliaths at the front. But if the carriers come out there in a very large number and start storming and, well, not, literally storming, but storming the front, if you will, and start killing stuff. He already has 3 at the moment. Going to save up until he gets 6, get his interceptor count up, and going to start doing some damage. Just now, already going to move out with those 3. And wants to be very careful not to completely reveal them all. I have this feeling that you already know what's happening because right now, getting a bunch of Goliaths set there, should have Terran boosters ready, if not on the way. Science facility going to be going, so he can continue getting those upgrades. Going to start killing some eggs here to give himself access to the 6 o'clock position. We did see stats expanding to the upper left beyond the eggs as well. So both players are going to be start working on their 4th bases, but those carriers that are getting their interceptor. Are getting their interceptor. Are getting the interceptor camps up. Now going for that 3rd base there beyond the X. Goliath going to move across the ground, across the middle, try to interact that. Only a couple of turrets there to help defend, but the carriers are not in that large a number that they can just go in there and kill everything off. One single Marine, though, is going to pop like a balloon in 2 seconds, but still stats threatening this position. Goliaths are going to finally move in here to try to fight these back, and the carrier's doing a significant amount of damage, just picking off a lot of SCVs, so stats doing a lot of damage. Finally see with a decent count of Goliaths in there scanning, trying to get some damage in with the weapons one upgrades. Finally some decent hits there. Wasn't quite at range, just try to hit some more of those, but stats at this point with quite a few interceptors in there, quite a few carriers, 5 or 6 at this point, almost getting his 4th going. Just has to keep his economy up, and I think with these carriers he's going to be able to hold C back as long as he keeps that Goliath count low. Keep that Goliath count low. Going to be seeing whether C actually tries to also keep that vulture count up, because if you have those vultures at the front alongside Goliaths and tanks, you're going to be able to at least fight back some of the carriers, but you're also going to be able to hold back the Dragoons, because if the Dragoons manage to pick off all your Goliaths, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. You want to be very careful with your army composition. He's going very tank heavy, and the tanks, of course, very vulnerable to those carriers. And Statsman will have a decent ground army as well. Some Dragoons, some Zealots as well, moving across the map to the north side. Does look like he's going to try to attack C from the right. Carriers at the front, I think 5 of them. Scan's going to go off, so going to give C an idea. I think there's actually 6 carriers. Finally going to see an engagement coming in here. Goliaths are going to be engaging the intercept. There are some tanks there. Zealots running in from the south. No mines to block, and the Zealots are going to be allowed free reign. Oh man, the Goliath's going to be in the way, but they're going to have to engage the interceptors. They can be engaging the Zealots. At the very least, they act as a blockade to kill those Zealots off. So I think the Zealots have all gone down. That was just Goliath trying to kill off all those interceptors. Some of the tanks are being threatened, and most of the Goliaths have gone down at this point. 10's going to be forced to pull back. Not enough Goliaths in the position for C here. He does come back with a large amount of his tanks still there, but he's lost most of his auxiliary forces. C, meanwhile, has put up a base at the inside 9 o'clock position, but now his secondary at the 3 o'clock is going to get threatened again. Only a few turrets there to defend, not nearly enough. This is going to get all taken out. Probably going to lose the command center here unless he tries to get some Goliaths in there ASAP. Nobody's going to be able to get any turrets up there with all those interceptors flying around, killing everything in sight. And now we're going to see whether C actually tries... Oh, God, I hate saying that. We're now going to see whether C actually tries to go for a counterattack. Most of his carriers, only one single carrier for stats now at that 3 o'clock position. Not quite focusing. I think he's actually trying to focus down the command center slowly. Not too worried about that. Knows that as soon as he gets his carry, all of his carriers in, he's going to be able to take that out. But now he's going to be able to transition into the main now. C doesn't have all of his Goliaths in there. He is going to go for a counterattack to the natural expansion. Of course, problem is that most of Stats' forces are across the middle, and he doesn't have that much to defend at home, so C's hoping to do some killer blows himself. He's going to be able to find himself in a completely open position, a lot of open protoss, not doing anything. He's lost meanwhile his secondary, but the natural expansion is probably going to be lost. Stats not going to be able to defend that. C, meanwhile, hoping desperately to get his Goliath count number up and hope that he does more damage than the carriers are doing, because this is more of an elimination race now. Stats has been trying to get his own forces in there to defend, but engaging Goliath in the middle, this is not the position you want to be engaging Goliath in. There are a lot of interceptors in there, so still might be enough, not too many Goliaths. So I think these interceptors are going to be able to take care of them just fine, but now Stats, his own main, is being penetrated into. He's still going to be able to produce some carriers to possibly help him fight this back. Has some Dragoons and Zealots in there as well. But wondering when he's not pushing back with his carriers. He is apparently flying back home, but still engaging some Goliaths close to the middle rather than flying all the way back. If these tanks go down, this could be a very good position for C. Stats still has that main mining a little bit, that upper left-hand mining. Tanks with 2-1 upgrades, only focused ground upgrades. 3 carriers, they're at home. I'm going to be defending. They're very low on interceptors, though. But the main carrier force is going to come in here. If this manages to wipe off all of these forces of C, Stats going to have a superior position overall, I feel. Despite the fact that he's lost them coming, he's lost his natural expo. Those carriers are really doing a lot of damage and are managing to hold enough interceptor count that the Goliaths are not quite managing to fight him back. And unfortunately for C, he's never really had a large enough group of Goliaths this entire game to engage that carrier full on. Mostly had like piecemeal control group at most. He's going to lose the entire troop he had in that main of Stats. A main of Stats. I don't know why, but all of a sudden I hear Enter Sandman by Metallic in my head. And now you do too! I mean like that. Oh god, so let's see. C apparently thinking of picking up the 6 o'clock position for himself, but there's a probe in the way, so that's not going to happen. Stats looking a little bit troubled when you look at his face. Actually, he's like, yeah, it's going on, it's going on. For one thing, you're not going to pick up the 6 o'clock. Gotta make sure that doesn't happen by picking off this SCV, but he still has that mass carrier number. C, meanwhile, finally has gotten a large enough Goliath count. I feel they can do something. He has weapons too on them as well. I'm not quite sure whether actually Stats as much in the way of upgrades at all. Does have weapons upgrades on those interceptors, but carriers are still, as long if they're focused down, they're still going to go down very quickly. C, meanwhile, going to be very stubborn, knows that with a natural expansion broken, he can just waltz in here with several vultures and completely clear the main, try to clear as much mining as he had, but yet again, carriers going to go engage. There are turrets in there to help the Goliaths as well. Tanks there at the back that are engaging some of the Zealots. They're trying to come in. Dragoons coming in. So Stats actually going for an all-out attack here to this inside 9 o'clock position. He still has a large count of interceptors and a lot of carriers. So I think they might just be able to get this done. There are still some Zealots and Dragoons in there. I think actually all the Zealots are dead, but some of the Dragoons to come helping here. Tanks are going to be able to take care of most of them. There we go. But the interceptor count seems just way too high. Goliaths are fighting the carriers back, but still not enough Goliaths there to completely get the job finished, because you can see the carrier count, the interceptor count is still far too high, and the carriers are all in there. Going to be able to pick off this command center, I think, and C's looking like he's in quite a significant amount of trouble. The command center is just going to melt in seconds. Goliath trying to come in here, try to save that, but command center should go down. Stats is going to have to be careful to try to focus down some of those Goliaths as well, doing a great job of that. Interceptors just all over the place, picking off everything that comes into C, desperately trying to focus down those carriers at this point, trying to lessen the number of carriers rather than focusing down those interceptors. But the amount of damage he's taking right now is extremely critical. He only has his natural expansion mining much at all. His main's pretty much dead at this point, and economically speaking is overall in a very, very bad position. I thought C was going to take this, but Stats getting those carriers out there, utilizing them well, and C not with quite enough time to counteract that. Stats overall has played a great game, so it does seem like he's going to be the one to move out of here. C going to try to hide an expo at the 12 o'clock base. That's the main at the 12 o'clock position. So we're going to see whether that becomes a factor in the game, unless it ends very soon. But Stats does look like to be totally dominating with a huge amount of carries that he has at this point. Doesn't seem like C can do much at all to fight back at this point. Still trying to get his Goliath count number up, but producing only Goliaths, yeah, not going to allow him to win the game. So he GG's, and Stats 2-0's the group. God, Stats of all people. Wow. This is going to be very interesting. GG guys, Ranchinet assisting. Hope you enjoyed. C Whiting? I don't know. Who do you root for? You tell me. Later.
많은 선수들이 지금 쓰러져 나가고 있습니다.
네, 뭐 경기 전에 물어보니까 살짝 긴장했다라고 하기는 하는데 경기력 자체는